Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm joined by Crypto Seth, and we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about some philosophical take on the markets, how some of the charts behave, how closely they are correlated with the way people are behaving, some things they are doing, search terms and the like. We're also going to look at the markets, some altcoin gems as usual, and then we'll be taking the comments first come, first serve. So be sure to comment, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe as well. Share the link to this video and let's get started. So, Seth, how have you been today?
I've been all right. I just went live on my channel for like 2 hours, but the grind never stops. Crypto never sleeps. So, you always gotta keep grinding.
Neither does Seth.
Neither do you, my friend.
So yeah, so I was looking at the chart, and we had a little bit of, we talked about it a bit yesterday on our live stream,
Mhm.
and the first mover advantage, so, and you guys said some really interesting things. Whenever a project is leading, it's leading for a reason. It's not just the first mover because people decided to push it up. And you showed me a very interesting chart that I would like you to share, with our audience today. There are projects out there, that people are shilling, but shilling is not enough to get a project to the top. There has to be a balance between community and hype and utility as well. So even if some projects have more active shilling and influencers talking about it constantly, it doesn't mean it to do well. There are different magazines out there, and the first movers will still be the first movers. So I'd like you to share with us, what do you think makes Singularity Net the best? Can you show us an example of how, despite all of the shilling of other, okay, I'll fix that, despite all of the shilling of other AI projects, how is it possible that Singularity Net was still able to come out on top?
So, what I would say regarding that, guys, is you need to understand how the YouTube crypto space works, or arguably even the crypto space. We have a lot of influencers who shill different projects, and a lot of the time, or even most of the time, they are paid to do so. So the reason I'm bringing this up to your attention is because you need to understand how the crypto space has been performing in the last few months, even to the last few years. So no one was talking about Singularity Net. Fetch AI was always picked over Singularity Net. People are always shilling Fetch AI. Fetch AI this is better than Singularity Net, even though a simple understanding of tokenomics would show you that the tokenomics of Singularity Net were superior. But look, this is what is very interesting about this, guys. I brought this up before on my live stream, but you need to understand this as well. So have a look at this. If you look at Google Trends, you may think, okay, Fetch AI, it's being shilled by more influencers. It should be, relatively the same. AI became a trend, and then we saw these AI projects go parabolic. They are sitting around the same market cap. If you have a look at Fetch AI, $475 million market cap, and Singularity Net, $650 million in market cap. You may think, you know what, they're relatively the same. So they, on average, should have performed the same. However, what I found out was people are just lazy. They don't want to search Singularity Net. If you have a look at Ajax versus Fetch AI on the Google Trends for searches, you will see that people are searching Singularity Net tenfold over everyone else. People are searching for Singularity Net. And this just shows you guys that even if all the shilling of Fetch AI, even if all the shilling from all the YouTubers are most likely being paid, right, of Fetch AI, Ajax is still being outperformed in terms of Google searches. Ajax is still outperforming Fetch AI in terms of market cap. And in no way do I believe we're going to see Fetch AI outperform Singularity Net. There are several reasons why I believe that, guys. And the main one is due to the broadness of what Singularity Net stands for. It's not small. It's not niche. It's not one thing. Singularity Net encompasses everything AI. And because of that, they can incorporate whatever AI system they want. They can incorporate Viot's AI assistant. They can incorporate Fetch AI system. They can incorporate artificial liquid intelligence system because they're just a broad AI project. Singularity Net, guys, in my opinion, very bullish on it. I'm going to be, bathing in money in the next bull run because Singularity Net is going to perform very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, so that even brings me to an interesting question. Don't you think it's going to limit them to an extent? I mean, I love the fact that Singularity Net is encompassing everything AI, but I think they might be spreading themselves too thin. If you're trying to do so many things at once, you can't really be good at any one thing. And I'm even glad you brought up artificial liquid intelligence. It's one of the crypto projects I really like because it takes it adds a level of realism chat to chatting using AI and all of that. And then we've got other lookups like Viot, that's a virtual assistant using AI. So there are all these many AI projects, but they've all narrowed down to a particular point within the AI sector that they want to focus on, and that they are doing very well actually. So Singularity Nets might actually be overextended in my opinion, and I think that might also cause an issue with it. So we've seen. What do you think in regards to that? Do you believe
So,
instead of trying to do too many things at once, projects which focus on just one thing, will do better? I have my take, but I just want to hear your take, and I'll share mine as well.
so I understand what you're saying. And in regards to smaller projects, what you're saying makes complete sense. If we saw like a random low cap gem right now and try and diversify to the point where they encompass everything I would say that they're most likely not going to do well due to specialism projects which are niche. However, we're not talking about some random AI project here. We're talking about Singularity Net and the people behind Singularity Net, Hansen Robotics, Ben Goertzel. They have been leading and developing an AGI development for 20 years, plus 40 years actually. Ben Goertzel has been into AI since he was 4 years old. He's a genius in the AI field. So in no way do I believe that another project, right? Or in no way do I believe that Singularity Net could encompass for basically everything AI due to the sheer people backing the project, due to the sheer intelligence behind the project. If this was some random crypto project, definitely. I completely agree with what you're saying, SSM. But because we're talking about the people that are leading in their respective industries, in no way is that the case. It's like if Google decided to come into crypto and wanted to encompass everything related to the internet. Would you really stand there and say that Google couldn't do it? I
Okay.
personally believe they could. If Google didn't niche itself, no. You believe Google could. And that is the same with Singularity Net because Hansen Robotics, developing the Sophia robot, the first humanoid or AGI technically robot to get citizenship in a country. Their AI systems were so developed that Saudi Arabia granted their robot citizenship. That just shows you to the extent at which Singularity Net is above all the other crowds. Yeah, you have, Viot's AI assistant, but we're talking about humanoid robots that could pass off as humans in terms of the proficiency of the project compared to an AI assistant. They're not really comparable of what they could do. So that's my perspective on it.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. I mean, so what you're saying is, if they want to, the team behind it would determine how capable they are in on how they can extend and take on many aspects of a field at once. Yeah, and I agree with you because whenever we're talking about a project, I always favor, or I tend to favor projects that do more than that do that provide multiple services within the crypto space. But that would only make sense if they have the expertise, they have the backing, they have the strength to do so. Take for example, in Gala Games, is a gaming hub, not just a single game. Nakamoto Games, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's an important point. So as for the first mover advantage, Singularity Net makes a lot of sense in that the team behind it, they are more than capable of pushing this AI narrative forward. They're not just a small team or inexperienced. And yeah, thanks for sharing your opinion on that. So, guys, thanks for joining us again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't done so, if you haven't met him already, this is the Genius Set on my channel. And yeah, we're going to be looking looking at some other narratives, and one of the narratives that Seth and I were talking about is regulations. I've gotten some comments about the ceiling fan, and I'm going to turn it off in a moment. But yeah, I also discussed this with you and Archie yesterday, and we got some very interesting answers, especially when it came to regulations in gaming projects. So personally, I believe that regulators are going to keep knocking on the door of crypto. We've already seen them coming after stable coins, and they're definitely going to come for many other projects, Ethereum and other smart contract projects and the like. So, how important do you think it would be going forward when investing in a crypto project? Would you stay away from a project that until you are assured that it has some kind of regulatory compliance? I mean, personally, I especially in my part of the world, is not too much of an issue here. But for the Americans and the Europeans watching, if they are interested in the project, would you recommend that, okay, guys, if you are going to invest in a project, make sure one of the things you look out for when investing in a project is this project ISO compliant? Would the regulators be able to come after this project? So I think this might be another form of narrative on its own, projects that are regulatory compliant. What's your opinion on this, Seth?
What I believe is 2023, the narrative for this year will probably actually be regulatory compliant tokens. I think LCX, projects which meet regulation, will probably be the narrative for 2023. That's how we have seen ISO compliant tokens perform well. That's how we have seen, LCX go on to do multiple X's. I do believe the narrative for 2023 will be regulation. However, in terms of regulation being a threat, in no way do I believe that's the case. We need to understand what regulation is in the first place. So right now in crypto, the form of regulation we do have, or the main one adopted in terms of, is ISO compliant tokens. And all that really is, guys, is it just adds a level of safety, right, for financial institutions in terms of utilizing the blockchain. That's all it is, right? It's an underlying replacement for Swift. That is all it is, right? What people need to understand is Gala Games can't be ISO compliant. That makes no sense. So first, I wanted to get that out of the way. That specifically in terms of replacing Swift, it's underlying financial systems. That is what the ISO compliant tokens are. After we move away from that, what I do want to say is projects which aren't ISO compliant, that are still in that finance niche, that doesn't mean they're not going to be adopted. In no way is that the case at all. All it means is these ones have a good pass. These ones have like a review behind them. Let's say you're going to buy something from Amazon. This one has a review. This one doesn't have a review. This one could be better than this one, but this one has a review. People tend to utilize the one with the review. However, that doesn't mean the one without the review isn't a good project. People still will go and utilize that. People will still go and buy that product, even if it doesn't have a review. So it's kind of like that, right? It adds that level of safety, but in no way does that mean that other project won't be adopted. That's firstly what I want to say. The second point I want to come across is, how would regulation occur across the whole crypto market? How is everything going to be regulated, if it ever was going to be regulated? Because it's a very important question to understand, because what does anyone even mean by regulation? Because you could argue video games, it's regulated, but the regulation, all it is video games now have to say the age they appeal to. For example, GTA says they're 18 plus, but people still utilize GTA even if they're not 18. It makes no difference to whether or not someone uses a game. People will adopt a game or a project in general if they want to adopt it because it has use case and it provides value to them. And I generally think that comparison will be the same with the blockchain. If this provides value, if this project has real world utility, it's going to be adopted. And regulation, all it's going to be is, yeah, that project, we may not like it. You don't have to, I don't recommend you use it. But if everyone else is using it, you're still going to use it. Again, if things are deemed a security and things are deemed a commodity, then the crypto market is a security, because the only one that could arguably be a commodity is pretty much Bitcoin. So is something being deemed a security a bad thing? Because the crypto market will be deemed a security. That will be the case because everything is in Bitcoin. So you need to understand that regulation right now is all FUD. It's all just a way for governments to select what specific projects they want institutions to utilize. And that is what the ISO compliant tokens are for in terms of the financial industry. And that is the reason they haven't regulated everything else. Because at the end of the day, the only implementation of crypto that they can really control specifically now is finance, because crypto now is only used as a means of investment. It's not used as, no one's really playing the games at Axie Infinity. No one's really using all these other projects. Right now, crypto is only a means of investment. And because it is a means of investment now, that is why, right, they went for financial specific sectors. So that's my
Yeah.
take.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And some people would argue that regulations would allow institutions feel safer, you know, coming into the crypto space, and because they have their lines drawn out clearly for them, and they know where they can operate and where they can't operate. So yeah, I don't think is practically for the way it's being used right now to shake the markets and competing exchanges like Binance and the likes. But I don't really think regulations are going to affect the market. It can, personally, what I like to look at it as, to fight the fraud. If a project is regulatory compliant, you can just give it that extra point because your project will be fraud resistant. Other than that, yeah, regulations are not going to stop crypto, and it's just there's just a lot of gray areas on how it would affect the crypto market. So yeah, Bitcoin, would I call it a dip? Bitcoin just doing Bitcoin things. And many people have asked me regarding whether Bitcoin can, reach 20K. I'm going to give my thoughts on it first, and then you can share your thoughts on that as well. As Bitcoin bottomed, as will Bitcoin reach 15K again, or do you think up is up from here? So personally, I think 15K was the bottom for Bitcoin. I don't think we're going to reach I don't think we're going to reach those levels again, because the fact of the matter is, I think we've seen the worst. We've seen, like, last year was crazy for crypto. The
Mhm.
FTX collapse, Binance fraud, people moving their funds off exchanges, and we've just taken so much hits and we've come back from it. Even I was so surprised, the CPI readings last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, the numbers were a little bit higher than expected, but Bitcoin was still able to bounce back. So this, what I got from all of this was, Bitcoin is here to stay. The entire crypto market has wisened up, and if the market goes down, many people are going to see this as an opportunity, and that's how I'm going to see it. There's no way on earth Bitcoin is going to go down to 15K and people will not quickly eat that up. So people calling for 12K now, I still think is just a little bit ridiculous, because if many people are calling for 12K, you just know that some people are going to try to front run that number, and some people are going to try to get in quickly, because you will never be able to perfectly time the bottom in crypto. So what I would do is, I really don't care whether or not Bitcoin is going up or down, because I'm investing in Bitcoin, I'm investing in crypto for the long term. If I believe Bitcoin is going to go to 100K, why should I be so bothered if the price is 15K or 17K? I'm just going to keep dollar cost averaging. I mean, I can DCA in some more whenever there's a major dip. You know, maybe I put in $100 every week, and this week Bitcoin had a major dip. I can decide, okay, this week I'll put in $200. So it's all about having a strategy and a long-term goal. If you are bullish on Bitcoin long term, then you shouldn't worry too much whether or not we're going to go lower than this, as long as you're dollar cost averaging in the crypto space, as long as you're dollar cost averaging on good projects. Because Seth and I and Archie, in fact all of the gem hunters, it's so funny. Sometimes we get a lot of hate when we'd say, oh, this project is having a dip. It's a nice project. I mean, look at Singularity Net. It's up 20% today. When projects that are fundamentally good are having dips, that's not when you should be panicking. That's like an opportunity to DCA, because
Yeah.
you are lowering your end. You're happy to get in on a project when it's high because you believe it's going to go up, and then it dips, then you're scared all of a sudden. People were willing to buy Bitcoin at 30K are the same people that are afraid of buying Bitcoin at 18K, and then it goes up again. Then my dad was asking me, "Hey, SSM, is this a good time to get into Bitcoin again?" And then the time to get into Bitcoin, the time to get some exposure was when it was, going down and everybody was running away from it. So I'm sorry, I've been rambling for quite a while now, but the point I'm trying to make is the market sentiment, the idea that many people have right now that Bitcoin is going to go below 15K, that idea alone would give you an opportunity, would give you an understanding that many people are waiting for Bitcoin to go low so that they can scoop it up. And that's the kind of thing that I see that would make me believe that they wouldn't let it get that low, because there will surely be people that want to front run. So what's your opinion on it? Do you think we've bottomed at 15K, or do you think Bitcoin can go lower than that?
So I want to say two things regarding what you said. I can't remember what the first thing was I was going to say. What was going to say? Oh, yeah, I was going to say. So, because you talked about the prices. So, Bitcoin right now, not Bitcoin, altcoins right now, people always scared, but people think so emotionally. If you see your favorite project down, think of it as being Black Friday. Black Friday every single day. You're getting everything at a discount. There is no better time than now. But to answer your question about Bitcoin, what people need to realize is Bitcoin didn't magically go down to 15K. It wasn't like having a bad day and decided to dip down to 15K. That's not what happened. It took a black swan event to catalyze that reaction for it to go down all the way to 15K. So unless you guys are suggesting maybe you can see in the future that a black swan event's going to happen, then okay, I may agree with you. But I believe it's very unlikely that's going to happen. So that is my perspective on it. And because we understand that, unless you guys can see in the future, unless you guys think a black swan event's going to happen, it's very unlikely we're going to see Bitcoin get down below 15K. So in my opinion, the bottom is in. And look, guys, even if something happens in the future, let's say something happened to CZ, something happens to Binance, they go under. Very unlikely. But let's just say they do. That doesn't mean you should have been 100% in cash and waiting for that to happen, because, again, you can't predict the future. It would have been a wise thing. If a black swan event happens and we see Bitcoin at like 15K, 14K, and you were 100% in cash, something was wrong, because you can't see the future. You should have still had Bitcoin in. You should have just seen this as a great opportunity to DCA back into Bitcoin. You should never be 100% in cash. And this is what I want to say in general, guys. Realistically, it makes not that much of a difference. If we're being completely honest, it's kind of something, you know what I think it is? It's something to distract the crypto people so they have something to talk about on a daily basis. Because if there was no Bitcoin to talk about on a daily basis, there would literally be nothing to talk about with crypto. Most people believe in Bitcoin long term. We're not looking to, 4x our money next week. We're not looking to 2x our money in a month. We're not looking to 2x our money in 3 months. We're looking to maybe 5x our money in the next bull run. When is that, guys? We're probably going to see, Bitcoin reach all-time high around 10th of November, not 10th of November, not 10th of November, around November 2024. That's usually when Bitcoin seems to be at its heights. About 7 months later from the halving, that's usually when we see Bitcoin peak. So probably around 7 months after the halving, we're going to see Bitcoin at all-time high, which will put us into around, 2025, early 2025. So if you get into Bitcoin now, you're getting in early. So there's in no way should you be waiting, guys. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of, getting in on projects, there are several projects that I would like to share with you guys, and there are several projects that you can always take advantages of when they're in dips. We're talking about check dots when it was in dips, and that brings me to another important point. When investing in a project, you should always invest in the fundamentals, because that's where you're investing in it for the long term. But There's another project that you've been bullish on. I've also been bullish on it as well, and a lot of people are, I've been seeing this pop up on my radar, and that's Altura. And I like Altura. Let me just go first and just say I like Altura because whenever I'm looking into projects, one of the things I like to look out for are projects that are developer friendly. And because projects like that, draw people in, they give opportunity for more people to come in. And Altura allows creators to, easily make NFTs and earn from NFTs, in-game items, through ownership in games and different projects that allow people that make things easier for creators in the space tend to do well. So Altura is a gaming project that doesn't just focus on one thing. It allows people be innovative, and innovation is actually what drives the crypto space. When new things come up, it's projects that are able to adapt that usually do well. So Altura, I've been talking about it for 3 months, ever since the early days of my channel. And I'm so glad to see it gaining more recognition. I'm glad to see it doing well now. And I know you've also been bullish on it. You've also been making videos on Altura for a long time. So
Yeah.
what do you think about it? Like, do you think it can go higher from here?
Look, I think this is very bullish news for Altura, but this is not new news. Altura has always been a great project with great partnerships. Altura were working closely, I do believe, with Ubisoft, so one of the leading games development companies in the world. And now we see that Unity have now understood that Altura is a great project. I do believe what happened was they created a list of Web3 crypto gems that have utility or will revolutionize the gaming industry, and Altura was one of their picks. And now you can see on the Altura website the Unity verified solution. So what this just shows us, guys, is institutions, whether it's gaming, whether it's anything, are starting to understand the use case behind crypto, and they're starting to give their approval. I don't want to talk about regulation, but you could argue this Unity stamp of verified solution is kind of like the gaming industry regulating crypto and saying, Altura, this project will actually have a use case in terms of games development. You can see this as a form of regulation if you'd like. And I think this will really help long term. We are going to see, a nice little rally because everyone's going to get hyped thinking Altura is going to do a 10x on this current point. I highly doubt that's what's going to happen. But this is good news because this shows that Altura specifically as a project can be adopted. And this is very important because there's always a lot of speculation, a lot of crypto speculation. We're like, will this be adopted? Will this actually be utilized? Or are we just thinking it's going to be utilized? And this verified stamp here just shows that it could actually be utilized. So it's great to see from Altura, a project which aims to basically transition Web 2 to Web 3 is a great project in my opinion. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very interested.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also bullish on Altura. And another gaming project that I just want to bring up because for those of you who don't know, I have a Patreon as well, and the patrons are up. They are up over 2x from the points since I called it on my Patreon, and that's Farbelt. Farbelt is another great gaming project with a passionate team behind it. What I like is, the reason why I like Farbelt is that passion. They are translating it from Web 2 to Web 3. And they've also got this idea of cross-chain gaming on different blockchains. So being, the interoperability is always a big plus in my opinion. So I like the project. They have a working product and they're also going mobile, which means they'll be more accessible. And these tournaments, fun-like aspects, you don't see many crypto projects that have fun games, that games that focus so much on players. So I mean, look at it. There's not too many crypto games out there that are doing what Farbot is doing. So the development is active, the team is active, and I still believe there's a lot more room for growth. Had you been on the Patreon, you would have been up over 2x by now. But even people who got in on the channel, when I talked about it first on YouTube, they'll be up over 80% by now. So the project is really good. I believe there's a lot more room for growth. They have tokenomics, and Once they release, and it's going to be very soon, once they release fan wealth, the sports aspect of the game, I believe it can go even higher. And that brings me to one of the most important aspects of a gaming project when I'm investing in a gaming project, and that's variety. You know, take for example, Axie Infinity is just one game. If somebody plays the game and they get bored of it, they're going to look for something else. And if there's nothing else for them to play, that's the end. Hype comes and go. Everyone was talking about Among Us, but now Among Us isn't as hyped as it was before because people got bored of it. So variety is very important in a gaming project, and that's one of the things Fanwell does and Fabwell does. And another gaming project that I'm going to let Seth talk about that is very bullish on and is a great project. I'm bullish on it as well. Nakamoto Games. So you want to look into gaming projects that have an active development team that caters to gamers, that offers variety, and have a good point of entry that are easy to access. You don't have to spend $1,000 before you start playing these games and having fun with them. And then there's also skill-based earning with it. I mean, all you need to do is get good. Once you are good at these games, have fun and have the opportunity to earn. And then, yeah, those are very simple things to look into. So, what do you think about gaming like this sets variety, and can you tell us more about Nakamoto Games?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement of what you said. It's very important when looking for gaming projects that you meet a certain criteria, because you all know already gaming projects, there are so many different ones out there. There's NFT ones, there is sport ones, there's gambling ones. So it's good to have a criteria for these gaming projects to reach. And as Sam touched upon, variety is one of those criteria. And the reason it's so important, guys, is because if we're actually looking at crypto to be more than a means of investment, then we need to understand who's going to be adopting X project. In this case, gaming projects. And within the gaming industry, you need to understand that people always flop to different games. It's a very dynamic industry. Kids nowadays have ADHD. They can't stick to one game. If you genuinely believe wholeheartedly that gamers, who the average gamers, 14 to 18-year-old boys, do you genuinely believe that 14 to 18-year-old boys are going to be playing Axie Infinity? No, obviously not. That's ridiculous. They're not going to be playing this game. Axie Infinity was a means of investment. The next bull run is going to be a bull run of utility. But then you might have to ask, what is the utility in gaming? Or what does that mean? And what I would say is utility in gaming is a project which actually caters to gamers kind of more than they cater to investors. And that's Gala Games. Gala Games catered more towards gamers, not investors. It's also due to why the tokenomics are so bad. They were keeping tokens to reward to the users, right? They catered more towards gamers. And Fabwelt caters more towards gamers too. So what is that commonality between Gala, Nakamoto, and Fabwelt? Variety. Kids have ADHD. They can't sit put. They can't stick to one game. They're going to want to play 20 different games. And that is why Nakamoto and Fabwelt are great, because they have a plethora of different games. Then we need to understand, yeah, but this is still crypto though. This isn't just the Steam or the App Store. This is still crypto. So people will utilize multiple chains. People will always have their biases to what cryptos they want to use. Some people always use Matic. Some people always use BNB. Some people always use Ethereum. So an important aspect we also need to meet is cross-chain, because people will always want to utilize whatever crypto they have. You guys know this. The people who utilize BNB, they hate Ethereum. They never want to use Ethereum because of the fees. People will always utilize the crypto they want to utilize. So Fabwell allows for cross-chain on loads of different blockchains, right? Which is very, very good to see. It's not merely one. This will also allow for more an interoperable use case of this project. It'll allow for more adoption. But to simplify this, to not go on a more philosophical route on gaming projects and crypto as a whole, what I would say that makes Fabwell great, from my perspective, because you guys know I'm not very bullish on gaming. Personally, I believe you only need Gala, Nakamoto, and Altura. But what makes, Fabwell seem great? Variety of games, great tokenomics. And this is very important, guys, because most gaming projects actually have quite terrible tokenomics. It's rare to see a gaming project with good tokenomics, and Fabwell is one of them. So it has a variety of games, which caters to gamers, which will allow for adoption. It has great tokenomics, which caters to investors, which will allow for adoption. right? Those two are very, very important, as well as being easily accessible. That's what makes this project great, guys. And I'm bullish on it too. But again, I already have my gaming project.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, many great projects out there. I get several comments, telling me to look at some projects, and I always admit, yeah, this is a good looking project. It's a great project. Like, Telos, and I can look at Silo, and there's no reason why many projects can't coexist, and some will surely do better than others. It's just the only thing I say when people are investing in a project is just make sure the fundamentals are there, and that's what I try to help with. Helping people see the fundamentals, whether or not the project is good, because it might just be slower than others. It might not be as fast as others, but if the fundamentals are there, the projects will surely do well. And it's one of the things that I think is extremely important when you guys are investing in a project. Focus more on the fundamentals. Not don't think about catching up to other projects that you've missed the boats on. It will be better if you can identify a project, get in early, instead of jumping into any project you see just because you've missed the AI. You now start saying, "Oh, I've missed Singularity Net, I've missed Fetch.ai, I've missed Viot." Then the next AI project you see, you just jump into it. The question you should ask yourself, I mean, the question Seth, Archie, and I have always been asking: where were these projects 1 to 2 years ago? These are, when you're investing in projects, is always, having a track record is one of the things that you can look at and know whether a project is good or not. So you don't just jump into a project because uh I've missed the boat on AI, and I still want to get in on the AI trend. No, it's already late. Move on. Look for another project that has strong fundamentals, and in the long term, in the long run, they are going to do well. They might not just be doing as fast as the others. If you want to identify trends, if you want to identify narratives, that's another story on its own. We're not going to go into that right now. But yeah, there are projects, there are great projects out there with solid fundamentals. You don't have to invest into everyone. Just do your research. If you like it, if you like the team behind it, if you like the developments behind it, then it's all well and good. You don't have to, our portfolios don't have to match exactly for us to make good gains in crypto. So yeah, do you have anything to add to that, Seth?
What I would add to that, and I know you already think this too, but what you also need to understand, guys, is you need to detach emotion. Crypto is a means of investment right now, at least. You're not in crypto to go play the games on Fabwell. You're into crypto because you want to 100x your money. So you need to detach emotion. And the reason I'm saying this is because everyone has their personal biases. I love Nakamoto, but I don't let that, discern me from thinking logically. I'll always think logically. I'm not gonna start shilling Nakamoto if they start doing some bad stuff. You need to detach emotion from projects. You may love DMTR, you may love Nakamoto, you may love Fabwell to RPG, but you liking it has no bearing on whether or not it's a good investment. You can love a project and it can be terrible. There are so many gaming projects out there which may seem like good gaming projects, like Cryptopolis, for example, a decentralized Sim City. That may sound great, but at the end of the day, less than 1% in circulation is awful. Therefore, it's not a good means of investment. So you need to understand these things, guys. Detaching emotion from crypto is very important. And as well, if you learn to be a stoic and detach that emotion, I highly guarantee you're going to be able to employ a better entry and exit strategy in crypto. If you're not looking at your crypto wallet, it's down 5%. Oh, it's up 5%. Oh my God, it's down 10%. Oh, it's down 20%. Right. If you're one of those people that does that, it's going to be very hard for you to go through the depths of a bear market that we're in now when certain projects are down 20%, 30%. It's going to be hard for you to hold that. You're probably going to panic sell. But if you're stoic and you understand long-term investing, I keep stressing this on every live stream, guys. Your money is not going to be made in 2 hours or next week. You could get a nice rally. You could get a 3x, maybe a 2x next week or next month. However, what is a 2x to 100x? What's a 3x to 200x? Your investing strategy, your mindset should be for the next bull run. Employ strategies for the next bull run, not tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Long term investing is key. You can get, short-term rallies and be happy with your 2 to 3x. But if you really want to make it in the crypto space, you just have to have that long-term mindset. I mean, we always see memes on people who beat themselves up for selling Bitcoin when it was $8 and the like. So if holding is always, what pays off in the crypto space, especially holding good projects. I'm not saying you should hold shit coins or bad projects. Just make sure you're holding the good ones. So I think this is a good time to look at some comments. And yeah, the first one we're going to be looking at is World. What's your thought on it? World.
Based off of what I've seen, what I would ask is why would people utilize Weld compared to the major, debit cards out there right now in the crypto space? Crypto.com is arguably leading on that, with their card. Regardless of the staking aside, regardless of the Crocoin rewards, they do have a crypto card essentially, as well as other cards like even Revolut. Revolut allow for crypto. You could argue Binance's card, KuCoin are bringing a card too, and they're major exchanges. So what is the unique selling point of this small project that would make someone want to utilize this one over a bigger one? That's something we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's an extremely important point to raise, because I've been saying it that there's no reason why several crypto projects cannot coexist within the space, but that doesn't mean there are good projects that have good fundamentals, but that doesn't mean there will be good investments. I mean, the question you should ask yourself, one of the most important questions you ask yourself when investing in a crypto project is very simple. Why would I pick this project? Why would someone pick this project over another? So in other words, what is the unique selling point of that crypto? So you should always look for competitors in the space when investing in a crypto project. If there's a crypto payment solution, I mean, take for example, I like e-commerce crypto, and then there's STMX, there's 8p, and then there's Hive. These are three projects within the same sector, but they are all doing completely different things, and that's why I believe three of them would do well. STMX is a loyalty service; it does cashback. 8p allows you to pay for other for products using crypto, and Hive allows freelancing using crypto, all within the same niche, all having different selling points, all having unique selling points. So if another project, why is Bitcoin king of crypto? I mean, you can easily code another project, that another blockchain that is limited in supply, that is even faster, and is a store of value. But the thing is, they are not doing anything new. They have a use case, they are not solving a problem. So you need to ask yourself that question. What is the unique selling point of this project that I'm getting into? Why would somebody pick this project over another one? Because if I see two projects, one has $50 million in market cap and one has $1 million in market cap, an investor would so a user, sorry, not an investor, a user would easily go to the one that has $50 million, because they'll have this idea that these people have proven themselves. So you have to pay attention to that. It's an extremely important point, the unique selling point of a project. So is there any other projects that you want us to look at, Seth?
not specifically, but this guy in the chat has been talking about
Get,
Geth. I was getting
Geth.
this on
Yeah,
my live stream. Like everyone was spamming this in the chat. It's
but there are
the
two of
test.
them.
It's the test. No, it's the test net for Ethereum that they are referring to. I was confused too because I didn't know what they're talking about. There's about 5 of the projects called Geth, but they're referring to Go Ethereum, I do believe.
So what's the point of the project?
I think it's a test net for Ethereum. It's been around since the beginning of Ethereum, and now it's a means of investment. So, what I would say is, look, whether or not it's good, whether or not it has a use case aside, what you're really asking is it worth getting in now? Because it's probably going to go in a rally because people are talking about it. And what I would say is anything with hype garnered around it that much will probably rally, but be sure it's going to be volatile. So if you are going to invest into Go Ethereum, which seems to be something everyone's talking about right now, then make sure you employ a good entry and exit strategy. We can't control what you do in crypto. At the end of the day, I can't force you to invest into X or Y. I can't force you to do X and Y. You will do what you want to do. And right now, I'm personally going to wait for the hype to die around a project before I do some deep research into it to understand whether or not it has a use case. Because the use case of a project gets amplified when the project's on a rally. A good example of this is any project in crypto. You can take any example, even Axie Infinity. When Axie Infinity was going on a rally, everyone's like, this is the best game ever. Oh my God, people could utilize in the future. NFTs, you'll buy an Axie. Yeah, but people say it's stupid. And they'll be like, no, it's the gaming stuff. You just don't understand gaming stuff. People will sell a project that has no utility because it's going on a rally. And that's probably going to be the same case with this project. I'm not saying it's not good, but what I'm saying is if you've done your research and you know this project has utility, other than a means of investment, that's very clear, other than a means of investment, right? Then it may be okay to invest into this project. That's my
Yeah,
take.
I think that's an extremely important point because people don't seem to understand what causes the price of a project to go up. And I think what causes, is simple, demand and supply. And one of the things that causes the price to go up is obviously, people buying into it as a means of investment. But if you see it going up like this, if you're investing at a time when everybody else is rushing in and you're seeing the price go up, that's because of FOMO. But what will cause the price to go up organically is different. And that's a product that is able to generate demand. Do you believe this project is something that, you have to ask yourself this: do you believe this project is something that, if all of the hype dies and nobody's talking about it, its use case is something that would allow, people buy the tokens to be able to test whatever protocol they have on the Ethereum blockchain, or isn't that what it does? A test net for Ethereum. So think about it like, is this project going to grow organically if the hype dies down? Because that's the kind of thing that allows the project to keep growing by itself without the hype. And it's one of the reasons why I really like another project, Mask. Mask is a project that had no VC funding, just the idea, and it was able to grow by itself, little by little, step by step, because they provided something, they provide a service that people will understand and feel like, oh, there's a need for this. We want to use this. And then the token becomes useful to them. So you should pay attention to that. It's all well and good if you want to quickly invest in it and make some quick bucks. You want to get 2x, you want to get 3x. But if you're investing for the long term, you should pay attention to what to make the projects grow organically. And if you were with the Gem Hunters on Sunday, we covered a project that was very similar to growing organically, and that's Viot. Before all of the AI trend, before all of the craze and hype around AI, Viot was growing. The demand was there. People were appreciating the project, and once that demand is there, the price would rise. And then the AI came. If you check the chart on that video, it just went parabolic. So you know that, okay, this behavior is because everybody is talking about it. So try to pay attention to a project, when pay attention to the charts when they are behaving like that. I think if you're investing in it for the long term without hype, that organic slow growth is something that you would like to see in a project. And I even, mask aside, shout out to my patrons for getting in early at 18 cents. Another project that I called, that has been growing slow and steady because it's driven by real world utility, is the XP network. And I really like that project. Over the past 1 week, if you look at the 7 days charts, you won't see you won't be seeing some crazy spikes. You would notice a slow and steady growth because people will begin to understand that, oh, there's a use case behind this project and we can actually use it. Is providing a service, a blockchain tool in the crypto space. And these are the kind of things I like to look out for when investing in a project. You'll be like, for what this project is doing, for what this team is doing, they are massively undervalued. I mean, this something, a project that is followed by Polygon, a project that is followed by VeChain. The first network to be used by Elrond to port over their NFTs from one blockchain to another. Those are the kind of things you look at in a projects that can generate demand, because XP Network is a project that, if you are operating within the NFT space, if you have an NFT project, you'll find that project useful. And the best part is, no matter what blockchain you are on, that interoperability is there. Whether you're on VeChain, whether you're on Elrond, whether you're on Binance, whether you're on Ethereum, whether you're on Polygon, it's a useful blockchain tool to NFT projects in the entire crypto space. That's utility, and that's what would drive demand, and that's what would drive the price up. So it's not just a project that relies on hype or people talking about it before it can go up. It's a project that other projects within the space will find useful. And I'm sorry I've been going on
No,
quite a rant regarding
valuable
G.
information you're saying, because
Yeah, so just try to pay attention to projects like that. Pay attention to projects that that can grow organically because of their strong fundamentals in the long term. Do you have anything to say to that, Seth?
yeah, what I would say consensus, the part that I took from what you said that I really like, 'cause there were some wise words from SM there, is invest in projects which bring other projects utility or help and assist other projects to have more utility. For example, if we just take the crypto industry as a whole right now, NFTs. NFTs has utilities intrinsically. The actual NFT technology behind it, there is utility in that. But the way that NFTs are being utilized right now isn't to the best. Right now it's being used as apes and all this jargon, apes and gorillas and monkeys and all this stuff, right? All these pointless stuff which give crypto a bad rep. However, all XP Network does is just bring more utility to NFTs. It just helps with the secure transaction cross-chain of NFTs, which is great, because all that means is NFTs will be utilized by more projects on many more changes, on many more chains, blockchains, which is great. So however each project wants to utilize NFTs is their own problem. XP Network doesn't care if it's being utilized in Taboo. They don't care if it's being utilized in gaming. They don't care if it's being utilized, in ticket sales. All it does is just help with NFTs being transacted across several different blockchains. Interoperability, great project in my opinion. Fundamentally great as well. Honestly, this is one of those few low cap gems that come around in a while, like Demetra kind of, which shocks a lot of people with its utility.
Yeah,
And it was a great point you
definitely.
made about organic growth. This project isn't just pumping and dumping. It's not doing a 3x in one day. It's organic growth. For those of you that have known about this project for a while, me and SM, we've known about this project for a while. We saw it climb, but we waited. You want to see how our project performed. And SM intelligently sent out a buy alert at the right moment. And his patrons are up big on this project. So I highly recommend, guys, you check out SSM's Patreon, XP Network, Fabwelt. He hasn't been doing the Patreon for a long time, but the only calls he's made of giving people a 2-3x their money. So it seems like a no-brainer to me, guys. But great project altogether.
Thanks. Thanks, man. So you have a question here. What are your thoughts on DID? I don't know what that means,
I think
to
he's
be
saying
honest.
like decentralized identities. I may be wrong. You'd have to double check this, but I do believe he's referring to decentralized identities.
Okay, been
Kind of
keeping
like
an eye.
self-key, I do believe.
Oh, okay. Self-key, yeah.
If
What are
that's
your
what he's
thoughts on
referring
it?
to. So, Seth, what's your thoughts about Did Next Narrative? Keep an eye on it. Big fan of you guys recently. So, just recently, what I would say is regarding if it is decentralized identities, and I don't think it's going to be a narrative per se, because when we say something is a narrative, what we mean is a collection. All the cryptos within that narrative, within that group, let's just call it a group to not overcomplicate anything, within that group perform well regardless of if it has utility. So basically AI. AI became a narrative in crypto. It became a trend in crypto. And what that meant was AI coins, regardless of anything, if it had no utility, Neuron AI, no utility, if it has no utility or promise in the future, just because it's AI, it will do well. And that's what we saw in previous bull runs. We saw gaming become a narrative, and all gaming projects, regardless if they're good, regardless if they're adopted, performed well. So don't think that will become a narrative. but I do believe a select few of projects from within that, narrative idea, or a bullish narrative, that idea within that category will perform well. Like self key, I think self key will perform well. I think certain projects within that, category could perform well, but I don't think all the projects within that category will perform well. So I don't think it will be like a narrative per se, but I do think projects will perform well because they're fundamentally good. Self key, for example, it's just fundamentally good. It's not decentralized identity that makes it do well. It's just the fact that it's a fundamentally strong project. And I think
Yeah.
a fundamentally strong project long term will perform well. I see no reason why anything in crypto, as long as it passes the fundamentals and the project has somewhat of a real world use case, I see no reason why it can't grow organically and perform well. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, and I'm also a big fan of projects that give you complete control of your data. I mean, I've been talking about that for a while. We've made several videos on different projects that help you achieve that. A while ago, I mentioned Mask. You know, I believe the blockchain makes that narrative better. Decentralization is one of the most important part about the blockchain, and we don't want our information out there, on centralized exchange, on centralized servers, and being controlled by centralized entities. So yeah, definitely the blockchain makes it good, and self-key is one of the projects. I think was it Archie that called it? Yeah,
I
it's a
called it.
good
I
project.
called it as well. We both did.
Okay.
I made a video about
Yeah.
kind of like 3 weeks before it went on a rally, and it went on a rally.
Yeah, and it went on a massive rally, and I think that's something, people are going to start paying more attention to. Just having your having full control of your information is going to be important. You wouldn't like your voice, your fingerprints, and all of that to be used in ways that won't be good. And projects that apart from self key, I think, I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I think Algorand and HBAR, is it Algorand or HBAR? They also help with identity. I would look deeper into that. I don't want to give you guys false information, but yeah, I'm suspecting. So you can also check yourselves as well. I think Algorand also does some kind of identity now, and it's one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of smart contract projects, because you can allow they can allow developers create decentralized applications around narratives. So I'm a big fan of layer one smart contracts crypto projects. So yeah, we've been going for close to an hour now, and yeah, I think this is a good point to wrap it up. Thank you so
Can I
much
say
for
one more thing?
joining us, guys. What?
Can I say
You
one
want
more
us to
thing?
keep going? Okay,
Say one
okay.
more thing about what you're saying.
Hmm.
I think most privacy projects could arguably play into this decentralized identity narrative, because most of these privacy projects is all about taking your identity back. It's all about taking power back from big tech. That is the main idea behind most of these identity projects. So I can see a lot of these privacy projects as well coinciding with identity projects. So what I mean by that, my friend, lax is we can it's entirely possible we could see digital identity and decentralized identity in general be kind of pushed under privacy. And I do believe that privacy will be a bullish narrative in the next bull run. So it could kind of play under that. So,
Yeah,
you could argue that as well. And, even pure FI, I think that kind of plays into it too, in a way, with its KYC aspects. I think it kind of plays under that same concept. So I think a lot of privacy projects and decentralized identity projects can kind of coexist and be a bullish narrative. So yeah, that's my
definitely.
thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Seth. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. I think Seth needs to, get some rest. It's been live for over close to 3 hours now on our combined channels, and I really appreciate you for joining us here today. If you haven't done so already, I know most of you here have subscribed already, but make sure you check out his channel. Make sure you subscribe. Check out his patrons as well. A lot of them are happy. A lot of them are up over 5, 10x on his patrons. So
Check out
yeah.
SSM's Patreon, not mine, guys. His last two
Uh,
calls, his last two calls
man,
been very great. Fabwell and XP Network, he called them on he did a pilot on them. They did well, guys. So I highly recommend. Support
Yeah.
this
So
top African YouTuber. He's gonna be the biggest African YouTuber. We're in a bear
I,
market right now, but once we're in a bull market, you're gonna see SSN Crypto's name everywhere. I'll get a tattoo.
I hope so. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us. Take care. Bye bye.
See you guys later. Goodbye.